I don't know if they can hear us in the room, but we can't hear anything from them. We're not getting any audio from the room.
How about now, Ned?
How about now?
Yep.
Yep, now we are.
All right, free space on Zoom bingo card. You're on mute. All right. We'll call order 5:02 p.m. Item A, Zoom meeting information, check. Item B, roll call. Chair Seth, I am here. Vice Chair Ned Dorff.
Present.
Alder Mark Stoyer.
I am here.
John Arndt is excused. Amy Cox.
I am here.
Corey Min, she's excused. Julia Nordike.
Present.
All right, Krista Kananen
Present.
and Mark Walter.
Present.
Alrighty then. On to approval of tonight's agenda, March 8th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Mark Walter. Is there a second?
Second.
By Amy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, agenda approved. On to approval of the minutes from last month's meeting, February 8th. There a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
By Alder Stoyer. Is there a second?
Second.
By Julia. All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. All right, and that is approved. All right, so just a little housekeeping thing in terms of the agenda here. You'll notice that we moved announcements up to the front. So these are not really discussion or action items, but similar to council. We have an opportunity to make brief discussion or announcements as we see fit. So we will start with that. We also, instead of having like a more open work group update at the end, we're asking that any of the work groups place their updates on the agenda prior to the meeting, just for better transparency and to keep the meetings moving along. So work group folks, if you have updates, just email to Melissa and I by the Friday before our meetings. So yeah, with that, that was my announcement. We'll open it up for announcements.
Well, it's maybe a little off the cuff, but I'm a geographer by trade, as you are, Mark, and they had a show on Liechtenstein, and it's, if you look it up, it's considered one of the top countries in the world for sustainability and environmental issues. The entire country is a sustainable commission. So anyway, I just thought, if you want to watch a neat show, I watched it today, I taped it, but it was on PBS, I believe. It was on Liechtenstein. And it was very interesting. So there you go. It's the size of 61 square miles. Yeah. It's not real big. I had a stamp. I collected stamps. So. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm writing that down. Thank you.
Liechtenstein. Anyway.
I have an announcement. The Green Bay Conservation Corps is hosting a how to install a rain garden workshop tomorrow evening at the Wildlife Sanctuary, and I believe there's still openings. So if you are interested, you can contact Maria Otto within the at the Green Bay Conservation Corps to sign up. It is a free event.
That's tomorrow.
That is tomorrow evening at the Wildlife Sanctuary. I believe it starts at 5 or 5:30.
Other announcements? Going once, going twice. All right, we'll move on to presentations. We have two on the agenda, and our first one will be from Newly Foods. So welcome. Yeah, just state your name and address, and we'll queue up the audio visual here.
Wonderful. I'm Linda Gusky, a board member of Newly Foods. On my back here is Peyton. I apologize, she couldn't go to daycare today, so she gets to tag along and hopefully she'll be content back here, future food warrior on my back. I also work at Green Bay Botanical Garden. I'm the director of education and guest experience there. And you said my address?
Yeah.
Okay, 609 Roy Ave in Green Bay.
That might be your older man. My lord.
What was
I
that?
might be your alderman.
Ooh, all right.
Roy, it's all for checking.
So I'm here today, as I mentioned in my Newly Foods role, I've been a board member for them since late 2018. And talking about our role in sustainability in regards to the food system. So focusing a bit on one of our programs called New Food Forum. So if you're ready, I see your presentation is up.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that anyone on Zoom, can you see the cover slide?
Nope.
No,
Share the screen.
I thought I had.
It looks like it's being shared.
Okay, it should say welcome to Newly Foods.
When you do the share screen in Zoom, try doing screen 1 instead of screen 2, maybe.
Okay.
And then put it back on.
Is it a PDF file?
Yes,
Sure.
Yeah, it's actually the one that says newly
Oh.
intro PDF.
Of the PDF on the lower,
Bottom.
so we'll,
There you go. I think that's the one you need to share.
I just don't think you push the share button,
Yeah.
because that's why the box is on. But
what about now?
hold it on.
very cute.
Participants, can you see the screen,
Yes.
Yes.
the presentation screen?
Yes.
Okay. Let me go to.
Humane Society now.
Pull it up on my phone. Hold on.
Personal.
So why can't I see the full? Here it is.
I think your PDF's just minimized.
See, now you guys can't see it.
But I see you have it on
Just
two
click-
screens, so
I think-
this is screen
You need
2
to-
and you're looking at screen 1, so if you go to settings, you can probably duplicate the screen.
I think your PDF's just
Or-
minimized. There you go.
Multitasking, yeah, that's.
Oh, is it not? So I'm not-
Try going to settings and the left corner here. It's so weird with the. And go to settings, yeah, okay, and then over here, go to system. And then scroll down, display, put, duplicate, display, so then whatever's on here will also be on here.
Okay, so when we finish the presentation, we're gonna have to switch it back.
I can show you.
Okay.
And then. we can just- So now, when you close that. There, and maybe make sure the
Good
Zoom
job.
folks can still see. We do this a lot at work.
Yep.
That's
We can still see.
Okay. Great.
all right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. So as I said, I'm here with Newly Foods. Our overall vision is good food for good health now and for generations. And that's supported by our mission to support the health and well-being of the people of Greater Green Bay by promoting healthy food access and education and cooperating through Northeast Wisconsin to build a thriving local food system in a clean environment. So one of the newest projects of Newly Foods is this New Food Forum. New again, standing for Northeast Wisconsin. So it started out of Newly Foods, but brought all of these players that you're seeing on the screen. So we have active participation from Wello, Northeast Wisconsin Technical College, and the UW Extension. And really the purpose of it is dedicated to seeing a shift in our community to support a resilient, sustainable, and equitable local food system by organizing those stakeholders around our regional value chain to strengthen it and strengthen those connections. So the first thing that actually, let me back up. So
sorry.
no, you're good. You can change it. I just forgot which slide was next. So why food systems and why is that part of our sustainability, right? So we believe that food is central to the health and well-being and sustainability of our communities and our environment. And we want to make sure that culturally appropriate, nutritious, and affordable food is available because we believe that's a human right. We all have to eat to survive, right? And food systems are a key factor in developing that economic resiliency and equity within a community. And on the right there, you can see to support those values, we have the values of our action plan of just overall wanting to make sure we're incorporating respect, equity, sustainability, and regeneration for our health, transparency, the thriving local environment, and diversity or local economy, and the diversity and inclusion. So one of the first parts of this initiative to identify who's in Northeast Wisconsin. we, through our networks, reached out to whomever we could find and told them to share it broadly to see where are our farms, where are our educational opportunities, the food facilities, all the different players in our regional food system, to be able to connect them all and get them working together. Because often I think a lot of people feel isolated, or they're not sure who their farmers are, or, you know, one farmer may know one buyer, but not all the rest of the buyers. So really making sure that we know where all of these places are within our food system, so we can try to connect them and try to build that network to a more sustainable food system. Next. So after the mapping, a core group of those folks listed at the bottom there's Northeast Wisconsin Technical College, representatives of New Leaf Foods, Slow Farmers Co-op, which is a local collaboration of a number of different farmers in our area, and then the UW Extension and Brown County came together to create this regional food action plan with a number of different sections. And today I'll be talking a little bit about the sections that New Leaf Food is working on more specifically, but really just creating that regional food action plan to then have a larger impact on our local food system. The primary priorities of this action plan is food production. So finding out where that's happening and helping to incorporate that into different community areas, providing access to that healthy food, and then the food sovereignty. So how can we have access to culturally appropriate food and getting the land to be able to grow our food and grow it for our different cultures that we have here in the Green Bay area. Next. So part of New Leaf Foods' role in this, New Leaf Food has been around for more than 10 years. And we started as part of the New Leaf Co-op as that was getting started, but as the nonprofit educational arm of that. So we are still alive and thriving. We have some of the things that we've done in the past. We're starting the Winters Farmers Market at the KI Convention Center. We, for a long time, did a CSA Expo, just connecting all of the farmers to the community. So community members would know where to get their CSA products. CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. I'm making an assumption that everybody knows what that is. Do I need to? Okay, good. And then we also will go to the next slide. Our major activity for the last 10 years has been the New Leaf Garden Blitz, where we actually allow members from the community to purchase a raised bed garden from us. And then through the course of one weekend in May, we go and we install those. So we give them the box, some high quality soil mixed in with compost. We often have seeds and plants that we can donate at the same time. And then for those gardeners that are new gardeners, we can connect them with garden mentors as well. So they meet a handful of times over the course of the growing season to help that new gardener plan out their bed, figure out what's a weed or what's my seedling, really just know how to take care of that. So it's a great partnership between the New Leaf Foods as well as support from Extension Brown County. Their community gardens coordinator helps to partner up those mentors for us as well. So you can go to the next slide, we'll have some more photos of it. With the Green Bay Garden Blitz, we also focus on putting beds in our local nonprofit. So we fundraise to be able to provide those beds at low or no cost. So those beds there in the middle, you see Selcom's Children Edible Garden. That's at the Brown County Central Library just down the road here. So we've been able to place beds there. We have placed beds at a number of schools and even with the families of students at schools, especially with the Howe Resource Center, Nicolay, and schools in De Pere, a number of schools in our area as well. We also have a focus on gardening with veterans. So on the top left-hand corner there, the photo you see there are a number of beds that we installed at Veterans Manor out on the east side of Green Bay. And so we've partnered with different veterans organizations to make sure that we are serving all of those within our community that really have that need for food access and maybe have more limited food opportunities. So here you're seeing some of our school kids in the top right with their beds. And we just wanted to point out to the conventional food produce, the average transport mileage is pretty far. But by being able to promote gardening within our city, within our county, we can reduce those and we can help just people understand where their food comes from, know that they have the ability to do it themselves, and that it tastes pretty darn good to taste a tomato right from your garden. Yeah.
Is that mileage? No, what?
I believe that's mileage,
Is
yes.
that like a round trip or how long it takes to get?
That is a great question. I am not
Just the amount.
100% sure. Yeah, I think it's from the producer to the grocery store to the consumer.
How many
And
miles
unless
it is?
Andy, do you have an idea of that mileage?
He's muted right now.
Oh, he is muted.
Let
Okay.
me see if I can.
I wasn't
I
sure.
don't, Linda. I'm gonna be honest, every study like that I've ever seen is about from the farm to the customer, but that one could be different.
Okay, that's what I was thinking too. Thank you.
Seems like a lot, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't?
Well, when you think about the winter time,
Think about.
you get a tomato.
Talking Central Valley of California. it's
Oh, I
big
see.
produce.
Never
Yeah.
mind. I'm thinking of warm weather. Never mind. Fire.
And so on the bottom right is just some of the locations where we have delivered beds. We try to centralize it into the city of Green Bay, but we do some outliers as well. And we've placed over 880 beds thus far. Our goal this year is to place another 80 beds this year.
What are the dots on the map?
The dots are locations of where we have placed beds in the past, just some of them, not 880 of them, but I believe those are some of the nonprofits and organizations and schools we've been able to give it to.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be nice to. Okay.
So this is just a part of that, regional food action plan that we've been doing for a number of years, but have now, melded into that new food forum. So the newest initiative is we've started the Brown County Seed Library. Again, right at the central library here as a collaboration through a number of organizations, the library, New Leaf Foods, the Northeast Wisconsin Master Gardeners, Green Bay Botanical Garden, and I believe others. And so that's where you can come to the library, get free seeds, and then start gardening. And along with that, we want to promote different educational opportunities. So we will have educational programs through the county library, through the garden, and through many other opportunities. We had our kickoff this past weekend. That didn't make it into the slide, but on Saturday, we had over 700 people come to the central library between a couple hours to attend some presentations, to take seeds. They just about wiped out our seeds. So we've got another seed sorting event this weekend that we're really excited about. And our focus this year was just getting seeds into the hands of the community. In the future, there are opportunities to teach people about gathering their own seeds and then, bringing them back to the library to share with others. So those are some goals we would have, but we're just really excited with the reception folks have had to the seed library at this time.
Where are your seeds coming from?
The seeds, some of them, they're from a variety of places. We've ordered some of them. We've gotten some, Green Bay Botanical Garden donated some seeds from All America Selections. We're trying to focus right now on fruits and vegetables and then a few pollinator plants as well.
I got my.
Then next, again, part of New Food Forum, another newer initiative that New Leaf Foods is helping to take on is the Urban Food Forest. So an urban food forest, I'll actually have you go to the next slide, I believe. Yes, really takes a look at how does all the different plants interplay. So you've got fruit trees, but then you also have carrots in the ground, and you have bushes with berries around it that are going to bring in the pollinators to help pollinate all of those flowers that are there too. So with that urban food forest, it's about creating spaces across the city, taking spaces that are maybe empty land right now to have growing opportunities and then provide food for the community that's there. So that's an initiative that's really just kicking off. We've had a few visioning sessions with community members. And for New Leaf Foods portion, actually last year as part of the Garden Blitz, we were enabling community members to purchase fruit trees from us. So apple trees, currants, raspberries, elderberries, among others. So we're doing that again this year. But then there's also some urban food forest initiatives happening beyond that. So I'll head to the next slide. So part of the urban food forest is also teaching people how to take care of these food forests. So for instance, there may be a class on pruning. Where do you prune? When do you prune? To make sure the plants underneath are getting the appropriate amounts of sunlight and water and resources that they need. So some other food forest initiatives that are already happening in our area that we want to look to see what they're doing and then eventually become a model for urban food forests across the country. At West Pier, they actually have an orchard that they've had for a number of years. Up in the top right, we have Amanda Chu, who is really the go-getter and front runner with the New Food Forum, the driving force, I should say. That's a good phrase to use for her. She is an instructor in the Sustainable Food and Agriculture Systems at NWTC. And so that is her at their garden area at NWTC, at their Bounty Food Forest. So the food from their forest actually goes to the NWTC catering and lunch facilities there, which we're really excited that they're able to use that. And I believe they have a little bit of a CSA there as well for their students. And then Chapel Elementary, we actually, Leadership Green Bay has partnered with New Leaf Foods to create an orchard and create an urban food forest project at Chapel Elementary. So that is just getting underway this year. So visioning, this is, as I mentioned before, we had 3 sessions of an urban food forest visioning. And this is what we thought success would look like in 20 years. We really, thought about that big picture, and now we're working our way backwards. We've put together a strategic group that's going to be a planning group that's moving this forward. That's just getting started. But you can see there some of our ideas about what this would look is that it would be a reproducible model, that it would provide equity and accessibility to all in our community, and that it would really help people connect to their food holistically and in all aspects of knowing that how that impacts them personally, but also their community. Now, another great project that you all may know about already, as I know that Corey sits on this commission, but the Seymour Food Forest Project is really getting underway. So I know it's more than just a food forest. There's some wastewater, stormwater retention there, and other things to really connect into that shipyard district as well. But a few of our folks from New Leaf Foods are a part of this planning for the Seymour Food Forest, and we're really connected to Josh Kupal, and Andy, actually, who's on the call, has been very instrumental in this process as well. So we're excited to see that this is coming forward and hopefully moving a little faster and becoming one of our big main food forest initiatives here in Green Bay soon. So again, not just food sustainability, but in this case, it's also about food connects into your land. So of course, it's your land sustainability, it's your human capital, it's the animals that are around. So that food sustainability really plays into the larger ecosystem as well. So we're making sure to be cognizant of that and keep that in mind as we're planning out these food forest initiatives as well. And this is just another photo of that Seymour Park project where it's integrating with the community and really, again, wanting to connect that shipyard district to the Seymour Park and create that green space and walkable areas for our community, and really just a wonderful place for the community to gather and grow and learn together and be healthy. And that is what New Leaf Foods and New Food Forum are doing at this time. Any questions?
I'm just gonna stop sharing for a second and see that people that have questions, we can see their faces.
All right, Ned.
Thank you so much for presenting. I really like a lot of the projects that have gone on. I helped volunteer for a little bit with probably 10, 12 years ago with New Leaf, and then have very much taken advantage of the
Yay!
got the garden box in my backyard too. You brought up the food forests. I think that's wonderful. And I've spoken with Josh over the years, I guess, on this project. Is there anything that you see the City of Green Bay or the Sustainability Commission being able to help in advertise or move things along with these food forest projects? Is there anything you're looking for from the city?
I think, so at this time, our working group for the food forest is really just getting together. I know the Seymour project has already been underway for a while. But as a whole, that is really just starting to come together. So I don't have a specific answer for that now, but I see moving forward, there could be potential for the Sustainability Commission or the city to support this and helping us identify different parks, different areas of land that maybe the city owns that at which we can start these food forest areas as well. So those areas that maybe you've been waiting for somebody to buy and put a home on for a long time, and hey, we could swoop that up and put some fruits and vegetables in there for the community. So that's the main part right now that I see in the future. But Andy, I don't know if you heard that question or have capabilities to answer. I apologize. Andy Demetza is our New Leaf Garden Blitz coordinator this year, but he's also been working pretty closely with the Food Forum and the Urban Food Project and has done this in other areas. So he may have other thoughts. But yeah, I really see that finding the land or helping get permission from private landowners may be something. If I don't know if you'd have connections there. It might be funding or helping us find different areas, different grants or sources of funding along the way as well.
Hey guys, this is Andy. First off, thank you for the help we've already gotten from Corey. She's been instrumental in helping, us planning people for Seymour Park speak municipalities as a language so that the Parks Department and us can work together to make a great integrated program that is a food forest, but also helps the city park. I have done this before. I actually helped get a bunch of the orchards installed as part of Milwaukee's homegrown project. In fact, this March, I'm going back to my 12th year in a row to teach Boy Scouts how to prune fruit trees at our flagship orchard there. The biggest way you guys could help us with this is going to be working with us to help identify and change laws and ordinances that will help people grow this food, but in a way that's safe, equitable, and appropriate for everybody. And I think the food forest steering committee that's coming up, that's kind of starting to act like a lobbying group, it could be a great place for us to work with you on that.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you. I appreciate the answers.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
Oh, I just had one last question about partnering with the school district. I am a school district employee, and I'm just curious how the chapel project came about.
That is a great question that I don't 100% have the answer to. I apologize. I know that we have placed beds in Chapel Elementary before, and I believe we have, I should say. And so I'm not 100% sure how we got connected. I know that Leadership Green Bay got connected actually through an employee at Green Bay Botanical Garden who is working on that project and had come to me at one point and said, I can't do a project with the garden. What are some other places what are organizations that you're working with that are doing awesome things? And so New Leaf was one of the organizations, of course, that I had mentioned. So I know that that's how they got connected to help move that forward. But I could connect you. Ned, I believe you know Kim Diaz. She would be able to tell you a lot more about that than I could. Unless Andy, do you know anything about how Chapel came about?
I do actually. Brittany and I are in meetings with the Leadership Green Bay group that's adopting and funding this. So we have a meeting later this week, and I'm helping them and the school identify the proper place to plant the trees, and then to get some follow-up lessons to the teachers and students so that they can continue growing that. The best way, if you're a teacher and you want to run this program, is to get a hold of us at gbgardenblitz@gmail.com. And we'll be able to work with you in a similar way that we're working with Chapel Hill. And we're taking really good notes so we can kind of make a playbook to help groups and schools navigate all the different intricacies that come with planting a garden or planting a fruit tree on school grounds. And so, yeah, I'm excited
Great.
about this, and I hope you reach out to us, because I must have put in 15 fruit orchards in the Milwaukee area, and those are doing pretty well. Institutions like schools really help make sure that fruit trees that get planted stick around instead of get pulled up later because people don't care anymore.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andy.
What's that called? GB Garden Blitz?
gbgardenblitz@gmail.com. Yeah, that's the email address, gbgardenblitz.
Well, I probably have a lot of different questions. I am a city alder, so in Chapel Schools in my district too, so. Definitely want to visit with them, see what they're doing. Personally. As far as ordinances, I don't know, I'll have to look and see what we have out there. I mean, Andy, maybe you could suggest something, like you said you worked in Milwaukee, but I'd like to know what Milwaukee or some other places that you worked on, had certain ordinances in place, or what you're exactly looking for. We might have some things in place, but maybe not to the degree that you might have. So I just need a little guidance on that.
We do too. I'm new to the area. My wife works at Baycare. She imported me. You know, so as I learn the ordinances, and I'll make sure to share those requests. But to start, we do have a few printouts of the urban ag ordinances from Milwaukee we helped make. So I can get those over to everybody as a starting point.
That'd be good. That's what I need. Can I ask another question too? I know, Stevens Point, when you went to Eau Claire.
Yeah,
But there are certain communities around the state that have co-ops, and I know that this might not be the exact thing for it. Maybe it ties in a little bit. But we've struggled a little bit in Green Bay at times trying to get a co-op in. But it's a place, where students and that, and we have some universities here. I just don't know if you've dealt with that at all much.
Newly Foods did try to bring forward a co-op. And I swooped in a little bit after that, but from my understanding, there was just trouble in securing the land and securing funding for it. They were looking at a place in De Pere actually, but then there was a lot of infrastructure in the city that needed to be updated and the cost associated with that. And then some difficulty in finding funding to be able to do it kind of that was one of the last nails in the coffin, that they weren't able to move forward with it. I know there is a co-op in the area, Sweet Willow Co-op, but I think that's privately owned, whereas this was going to be a more publicly owned, I believe, through memberships and things like that. That's not something that we've started up again. We focused on some other initiatives,
Sure.
But we have, as you saw on that food forest mapping, a lot of farmers in the area, and the interest around co-ops and markets is just continually growing. So I think it's something that could be revisited in the future. It's not something we're currently looking at, but it's certainly not something we would shut the door on.
Right.
Yeah, I think that was, the co-op idea was put forward about, 15 years ago?
Yeah, I think that's about right.
So,
Was it
I'm
that
gonna
long?
say
yeah.
They were trying downtown.
2011
Green
maybe?
Bay.
They were initially looking downtown Green Bay, looking at a market, a cooperative market downtown in this area because of the food scarcity
Yes.
issues. But yeah, it just wasn't quite the right time, I think, is part of it. The
Yeah.
timing is everything, as they say.
Well, I just, my wife, when I met her, she lived in Stevens Point. We used to go to that over there.
Yeah.
So it was just a 2-story
I lived
building
in
and
Point
it
for a
had
little while, too.
what's that?
I lived in Point for a little
Yeah,
while
it
too.
was just
Yeah.
I'm sure there's costs there, but it just seemed like a great place, just compact. You go in there, you purchase things, and I don't know, I think that would be a great addition to the area. So we'll peek at that, right?
Yeah.
We agree.
All right. Okay, maybe I'll have to do that again.
Always keeps giving himself jobs. I love that you listen to long.
Well, thank you all. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I think I have business cards, my contact information at the garden, but you can always reach me there and I can always connect you among New Leaf Foods as well. So would anybody like
Sure.
I'll just pass them along here.
So you said you live at 609 Roy?
I do,
I am
yes.
I am your older person.
Perfect. Nice to meet you. Oh, yeah, I recognize your name.
You do? What? That could be good or not.
You have enough. Okay, yeah.
Thanks, Linda. You and Peyton are awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for chiming in, Andy.
Yeah, very good. Very, thank you.
Thank
for
you
that.
so much. and thanks for all your great work.
Hopefully we'll.
Appreciate the opportunity to be here. I do have to pop out to grab my other kid now. So
Yeah.
sorry, I can't stay.
Yeah,
But-
that's fine.
Really appreciate the work that you're doing.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you. Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
do. Thank you very much. Just as a little sidelight, the city, there's a green space near the Riverside Ballroom across the street and it's along the cliff on Main Street. And there's gonna be a little community area, but also a garden there as well. So we've been, you know, we just voted on that recently. So there are some, yeah, we're gonna keep at it.
All right, cool. Well, moving
Keep
on
going.
to our next presentation. Come on up and welcome.
Peyton will be your cheerleader.
Yeah.
Cheerleader. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Kelly O'Malley. You need address, right? I think so, yeah. 1658 Deborah Lane, Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Kelly is a staff person.
Yes, so I am the city's stormwater engineering technician here with the Department of Public Works. I have been with the city for 2 years and in this current role for 1.5 years. So that's my little background. Today I'll be talking with everyone about the city stormwater management program. I'm doing kind of a high level overview, so you might be seeing some things that you're already familiar with or used to. If you want more details or have any additional questions, absolutely feel free to stop me and ask or let me know at the end. So whenever you're ready, Melissa, we can.
Yep, as long as everyone can see the new slide deck.
Yep, we see it.
So, the stormwater management program that we have, the city, so today I'll go over the overview with you. I'll share with you a little bit about what it is that we do for the program and some ways that, the community can also get involved with that program. So this first slide here, what is the stormwater management program? Why do we need it? So, very high level is it's required. The city has a municipal storm sewer system, or MS4, if you don't want to get tongue-tied, permit through the DNR. And having this program is a requirement underneath that permit. So, you know, we have to, it's a good thing to have. And also underneath that permit, we have TMDL requirements. So that stands for total maximum daily load. You might already be familiar with that. So that's the max amount of certain pollutants that can enter into a water body without exceeding the water quality standards set by the DNR. So TMDL is set by the DNR under the supervision of EPA in our surface waters here in the city. We have TMDLs for both total suspended solids and total phosphorus, and a little bit of background on those. Some examples of where total suspended solids would come from might be from soils that are eroded, either from stream banks, construction projects, that kind of thing that enter into the water body. They can come from plant matter. So in the city, we have a program for leaf pickup and street sweeping. If we didn't have that program in place, we'd have more suspended solids in our waterways. So that's a couple of sources for those. Total phosphorus can also come from a number of different sources. They can come from also leaves and yard waste that we collect as part of our program. And they can come from fertilizers that we use in our yards and other chemicals that are used in lawns as well. So Long story short, the management program helps us to reduce pollutants that go to the waterways in order to meet those goals. And finally, and in my opinion, most importantly, so we're really boiling it down to we're improving the water quality and surface waters throughout the city. And that includes the Bay, that includes the Fox River, East River, Bears Creek, you name it. Yeah, next slide, please, Melissa. Actually, hopping back a little bit in topic here. The way that we implement this program is using a number of different techniques. So we have city ordinances that apply to the public. We have best management practices that we do in our own city operations, and we also do education and outreach. And that's kind of how we let the public know how they can help meet, you know, water quality standards and help us meet them as well. So going on to this, I know I'm getting a little text heavy here, so I apologize, it's not quite as fun. We'll go into how the program is implemented. So on the left-hand side, you'll see it says permit conditions. So this is a little screenshot of what our MS4 permit is in our MS4 permit. So all of these aspects are part of our stormwater management program. The ones that I highlighted specifically are ones that I'm involved with. So I'll be really leaning more heavily into those. If you have questions on the other ones, I'll do my best, or I'm happy to get you resources on those as well. So that's kind of overall the different aspects or elements of the program. And on the right, I've listed some examples of what are in those different aspects. So some of the actions that we complete on a regular basis. Educational events are some cleanup events throughout the city, like Fox Wolf Watershed. They help us with some of those cleanup events. We do workshops. We have information on the website. If you go to the city website, we have the stormwater management webpage underneath the Department of Public Works, and that has some more information. So there's that. We have sampling discharges from our storm sewer system, and I'm really hoping that everyone listening in is already aware of this, but our storm sewer system is separate from our sanitary sewer system. So everything that goes into our storm sewer system, the inlets, and all that discharges directly to our waterways without getting treated. So because of that, in our permit, it is required for us to do sampling during dry weather to see if we are getting any illicit discharges from sources that don't belong in the waterways. So that's one of those aspects that I complete. Aside from that, we do some constructing and maintaining stormwater best management practices. So that would include like stormwater ponds, bioswales throughout the city. And we have about 32 city-owned stormwater BMPs at the moment. So we go through and inspect and maintain those very differently depending on their needs. So that one would fall underneath both 2.6 and 2.7 pollution prevention and stormwater quality management there. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we have the leaf and yard waste pickup programs, and those are followed up by street sweeping. So those help us to eliminate sources of pollutants that would otherwise go to the waterway. So it's multifaceted. Of course, it benefits the residents throughout the city, but it also benefits our waters. So nice to have that. Secondary to that is cleaning out the stormwater inlets. So we typically do this after street sweeping, and operations performs this, and they try to get through as many as they can before it gets too cold to do it. And that helps us to take some of those otherwise would be pollutants out of the waterway. And then the last example I have here is responsible use of de-icers. This is another element that we like to really hit in regards to public education And it's also something we do internally with our operations group. So, we aim to have every year, maintenance and calibration training so that they know how to responsibly use de-icers such as salt, brine, and sand, so that we can keep the roadways safe and clear, but also not overuse them so that they really negatively impact our waterways. So, next slide, please. All right, so recent efforts that we, as the Department of Public Works have been involved in, that really help us with this program that aren't as regular as the ones I just went through, are listed here, and you might notice some of them have been talked about before. So if you look under construction, stormwater facilities, it's so Seymour Park ponds. Those are also multifaceted. They have a wonderful stormwater quality benefit for us, but they also benefit and are include involvement from Parks and Recreation, economic development, because they're a benefit to the public as well for recreation.
And were those installed?
Those are not quite installed yet. They're undergoing construction this year. Hopefully they'll be done this year, but for more of a timeline on that, I could ask our utility engineer.
No.
Okay.
That's great.
So that's upcoming and has been in development. Another one that you might notice has come up before is the Rain Barrel pilot program, which Melissa had done. So great for the green stormwater infrastructure side of things. And it also has a water quality benefit to us and a benefit for our requirements with residential infiltration outreach. So those are a couple of examples of how programs that are used in other areas of the city also benefit stormwater. Aside from that, recently we have included vegetation maintenance at 2 stormwater facilities. So we have one on Superior Road, which is kind of by the intersection of Superior and Sitka. If you're familiar with the area, it's by that big mansion.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So for that one, back in 2018, we installed some no-mow grass, which doesn't really have a lot of ecological benefit. There's a lot of bare areas. It kind of did the bare minimum for the stormwater facility. So last year we reevaluated and said, hey, it would be great if we had, more ecologically beneficial plants in there and plants beneficial to stormwater. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but there's that community outreach projects that we have participated in the past and continue to do so. Although Leopold weekend, we have attended for Rain Barrels. I give presentations to NWTC students. And we also do informational letters to the public as needed. So we do those for like concrete contractors to make sure they're not washing things out in the storm sewer system that they shouldn't be. And we do that for carpet cleaners to make sure that they're not washing things in the sewer that they shouldn't be. And finally on this list, just a quick mention, and I know it's not quite as fun, but our permit has a 5-year term. So this year we're also going through the effort of re-permitting. So our MS4 permit, it expires in April of 2024. We have until around Halloween to re-permit. And we also have a new TMDL implementation plan that needs to be done for the permit by that time. So you might see that come up in the near future as well. So if you want to go to the next slide, I finally have pictures for you guys. So something to look at. So for recent work, this is jumping back to the Superior Pond, and this is also a work in progress. So back at the beginning of the last year, we just started with evaluating the vegetation that was there and looking to improve the vegetation as well. So the picture on the left is right after they cleaned out a whole bunch of nasty or undesirable plants. Had some invasives growing in there. Along the water edge, we are still dealing with like cattail, some other not high quality plantings. And you can see some of the progress toward the end of the summer and early fall, right there. So we have high quality aquatic plantings in the area, some nice arrowhead growing up all around. And some wildlife that I've seen frequently there as well. So if you want to go to the next slide, Melissa, I just wanted to include this because I love this image. So, and it ties into that last conversation of why do we go through the effort of vegetating these stormwater facilities with anything but turf grass? If you look at the far left of the image, turf grass, very, very small roots, maybe a few inches. And the reason why we look at all of these, nice native vegetation that we have showing kind of to the right there. They have these differing root structures that help stabilize soil. They really promote water uptake. They also provide a little bit more ground cover above, so that if we have water running off from sheet flow, like on the surface layer, it helps to really reduce the erosion that we might be otherwise seeing at those ponds. So that's a little bit of an overview of why we do that. So, next slide, please. Lastly, just some opportunities that we have going on for the public and that we are looking to have for the future. So the Fox Wolf Watershed Association, they do an annual cleanup. Their one for this year is on Saturday, May 6th, and they still have sign up going on. So if you're interested in being involved in that, that's a nice little volunteer opportunity. They do a picnic with it as well. And that's mainly like litter cleanup. And they do some other really cool activities through them as well. And they help us a lot with meeting the needs for our stormwater permit. So they also do like chloride monitoring. And that's pretty cool as well. And they do that all throughout the watershed. Of course, we prefer to have participants in Green Bay, but water quality throughout the entire watershed is important. So I understand. So other than that, we also do a cleanup between the city and the MacArthur Heights Association. We do that around Earth Day every year, with the exception of during COVID. So if you are interested in being involved in that, or if you're interested in having a cleanup of your own in your own district, I'm more than happy to help out with getting that organized for you. So we usually have pretty good turnout. Last year, I think we had like maybe about 16 people. It was a little bit of a low year, but we got a lot picked up.
You go through the neighborhood associations quite a bit.
Yep, so for that one, it's with Sam Bartel. Let's see, we talked a little bit before about rain barrels, and that pilot program is looking to continue on in the future for it. So installing a rain barrel is a great way to get involved. Installing rain gardens is also a great way. And Melissa has developed this wonderful website for planned natural landscaping, where you can sign up to get more involved with those.
Yeah, I've got a perfect place in my front yard for a rain garden. I just need a backhoe to dig through the clay. So,
We can come over.
Yeah, I understand that clay issue. We
Yeah,
have that
we
too.
have plates.
Oh, that's a citywide,
Yeah.
struggle. It's unfortunate, but what are you gonna do?
So the rain barrel program, real quickly, we're doing ordering more for next year,
For this year,
for this year, I should.
for this, yeah.
Okay.
Aside from that, we have some guidance documents that are currently undergoing some updates, but those are also on our stormwater management website. And those are really for the public to inform them of best practices that they can be involved with. If they, you don't want to do something far from home, you don't want to really install a rain barrel or anything, you can help out in other various small ways, making sure that you're placing your yard waste on the terrace where it belongs, picking up after your pets, limiting your use of fertilizers. There are so many great ways that you can help really promote healthy water quality throughout the city. And something to keep an eye out on in the future would be a future Adopt a Spot programs. we have had those advertised in the past, but we are revamping programs for Adopt a Pond and Adopt a Creek to get the public a little bit more involved with some of these cleanup efforts. Give them a little bit of recognition within the city as well through signage. And yeah, those are some of the main ones that we're looking at for this year, hoping to add more in the future. If you have any needs with, you know, creating a cleanup, like an annual cleanup, or would like any other assistance, absolutely reach out to me and let me know, and I will do what I can to help you. So with that, I think I have my last slide here. If you have any questions, I will take those, and always feel free to reach out to me after the meeting as well.
Do you have a map? Is there a map showing some of these different spots that you have around town? You Adopt a Pond, Creek.
We will have a map for those when they are finished being developed. So the way we're looking at doing it right now is, well, we have old flyers that are on our website. They don't really go anywhere. They don't get a lot of hits from the public. But right now, what Parks and Recreation and Conservation Corps have is they also have adoption programs, but they have those for their trails. And Maria Otto up in the Conservation Corps has been really helpful for me with starting to get this. And this is just really the beginning of this program, so it's more of an up and coming thing.
That's great. Thank you. Pretty good. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thanks so much for your presentation. Is there, I have a couple questions, but my first one is, are there plans to track and monitor rain barrels through this program? So that you know that people are taking them home, are using them and maintaining them?
That is a perfect.
I can answer those questions. Yes, we track them, we map them, we have multi-IS maps. So we know every location where they're going, and then we do random inspections. After someone, signs up for one and DPW does the delivery. Part of the agreement that the resident agree, part of the agreement is that that we can send someone out to see if you have it installed, and it's obviously not something we're gonna be able to track down all 500, but we'll do some random checks, and then if people do have issues with doing an installation, if we got out to the place and they said, I just don't know how to do it, then, we could probably offer some assistance, but we're hoping that most people, it's a very easy process to do the installation, so. But yeah, we're tracking it last year, and we're gonna keep building on those GIS maps so that we can eventually have maps of all the different types of green infrastructure all over the city. We did the same thing with Nomo May. So we'll just keep adding different layers as we have more projects going in.
That's fantastic.
Yes. I love maps. What do you-
I was also wondering, right now, plastics and trash and marine debris is like a huge issue. And so I was just wondering if the city with their stormwater, like drains, has any, if you're working on that issue, if you think about, if you're gonna maybe, or are you thinking about technology, like trash catching technology to prevent plastics from going into the river in the bay?
Great question. It is not like, I would not say it is the top thing we focus on. However, we do have 16 different, what we call proprietary devices throughout the city. 15 of those are hydrodynamic separators. So those sit either at our own facilities or like in the roads upstream of some discharge points. And those do catch litter. So adding more of those will probably come up with our new TMDL implementation plan this year. I'm not sure where we would implement it, not sure exactly where we would implement those. If you're interested to know where they are, though, I could always get that information or map for you too. We have pretty much all of our stormwater facilities that I deal with mapped. So I'm happy to take questions for that, but those devices are a good example of something we do. We also do regular lift station cleaning. So, lift stations, a lot of them we have nearby waterways, and we aim to get to those once a year, just because we have a lot of work to do and only so many crew. So, the goal is to clean those out once a year. This year we met that goal. Sanitary typically takes priority just because it has more of a health hazard concern. So those are a couple of the things that we do that end up catching plastics, or I also do regular inspections for stormwater facilities, and I and a couple of others from operations will do those inspections, and we'll pick up litter while we're at those facilities as well. So those are some of the things we do. Definitely a great thing to keep in mind for the future though, especially since you get more and more conversations talking like about microplastics in the water too. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of grant funding for that kind of works right now coming up. So
Yeah,
if the city is interested in, you know, writing a grant to get some of that technology put in.
Yeah, it does sound like there'll be a little bit more coming through the DNR from the EPA as well, ever since we recently completed a clean water needs survey for Amy Minster at the DNR, and I know she's really pushing to get more funding for stormwater related projects from the federal level. So hopefully we'll see that trickle down a bit as well, but that's a bit more into the future.
Sorry, I think I do have one question.
Okay.
Sorry.
Otherwise, Ned has. his
Oh, I'm
breaks as
sorry.
well.
Go ahead. I'll go after that.
My turn?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, thank you. Questions, I just have a few questions, maybe like a technical one, about the leaf collection.
Okay.
What would be your recommendation for the average homeowner? Would it be to do like mowing their leaves as yard mulch? Or would it be to put them on the curb or pickup? Like what's the most environmentally friendly option?
I've seen a couple of different recommendations made by different areas of the department, so that's a really good question. For the average homeowner, typically it would be best to at least get them to put yard waste in the terrace and out the streets. I know it's a pain and you don't want to have it in your yard, and sometimes the piles get really big. And it's not just a stormwater concern, it's also a safety concern, because you could get little kids jumping in those piles thinking it's great fun while, you know, there's traffic going down the road either way. So it's a stormwater concern, a safety concern, and it also really just helps keep our stormwater inlets clear, because if you have the leaves or yard waste just sitting in the street, that can really get trapped in the gutter, plug up those stormwater inlets and prevent water from moving. And that's where you get some of that localized flooding too that can occur. So that's one way. I've seen mulching as an option too. I don't see why that would be a problem. And well,
I could probably answer that one anecdotally, just because I live in a neighborhood on the west side that has Norway maples with which are very dense foliage, big leaves. My next door neighbor chose last fall not to rake his front yard at all. The leaves are still there, so I'll be interested to see what it looks like this spring, but they don't mulch very well. It's like I say, anecdotally, Ned, you know, I know that depends on the neighborhood, I'm sure, and the type of tree you have.
Right.
Norway maples they're great to look at, but I'd rather just get rid of them and replace them with something else.
Well, and I have a huge maple, but if we leave it as a mat, a thick mat on the ground, that's not great for anything. I'm just, you know, more of a mowing it into mulch, as opposed to just leaving it. But you know.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
Relating to when to mulch versus not, that is a great question, and maybe that should result in some additional guidance on our part. I know we have general collection tips and requirements listed. They're not just in the ordinances, but they're also DPW has an information guide that they release every year. They have some information in there on that. But for people who are interested in mulching those, that's something that we could come up with more resources so that people understand. How, when, how much, because like you mentioned, you don't wanna, if you have all of these maple trees, you probably don't wanna mulch all of them because you'll end up having more leaves than ground cover. So.
Sure.
That's a great question.
Thank you. Thanks for touching on that. My second question for you is regarding the de-icers that the city uses. It sounds like there are internal discussions about what is the best thing to use. Probably hear my dogs now. Whether that is the salt brine or the sand, and what would be the most environmentally friendly option, and are there more environmentally friendly options that we're not using right now that we could be looking into as a city?
After being in some conferences that discuss this topic, it does seem like a lot of other municipalities around us do kind of a similar thing that we do, where we don't just rely on salt, we also rely on sand and we rely on brine. And also educating our operators to know which to use in which circumstances, because as you probably know, using salt is really ineffective when temperatures get too low because it's not melting anything. It's not really helping anyone. So brine is a great thing to use as more of the preventative or preemptive measure when you know snowfall is going to be coming. Sand can be great for helping with traction. There's some concerns about it too, though, because it can wash away if you don't catch it. Like we don't have the street sweepers go out and catch that, and that can wash away and kind of cause some TSS issues in the waters. So that's something that all of the municipalities around here are exploring, especially since we had such harsh winters. So the amount I can really speak on that is somewhat limited. It's more of we really rely on what operations, their best judgment to and their management. So those are things I'm seeing throughout. I know that doesn't really help answer your question if I'm giving you these vague responses, but we are seeing that mixture throughout the other municipalities too, and trying to rely a little bit more on brine to just preventatively get that, so we don't rely so much on rock salt. And if you're interested in knowing how much we use, and I'm sure you might have heard about this before, but we do an annual report in which I have to include those numbers to the DNR. So if you want to look at the annual report, either through the past annual reports through the DNR website, or if you want to see this year's report, I have a hard copy in my office. It is 2 3-inch binders.
Really? Bring it on.
Yeah, or you can shoot me an email and I can get you those numbers as well. But that information is publicly available if you are interested to know just how much of each specifically we use throughout the winter season.
Okay, thank you. I guess my last question is about the Seymour Park. We just saw somebody present about a Seymour Park food forest. And then there's also the Seymour Park stormwater facility was in your presentation. I'm just curious, how are those projects in conflict? Are they able to work together at the same location?
So they are both part of the same project. It's just it has many facets to it. So we have the public works facet, which really looks at utilities like stormwater. It is in a park, so it also involves parks and recreation, and it involves conservation corps, which is part of that too. And conservation corps and parks and rec are really dealing with kind of the park related things, the gardens, and that requires the different departments to work together. So the specifics on who is taking on which aspect of that project, I can't really speak to. That is something that our utility engineer deals with more on our side of things, but we work together, this department, and Melissa has input for this as well.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that they're not in conflict. It's a very big project and part of the goal with, the stormwater management in Seymour Park is also, to alleviate, continue to work on alleviating localized flooding in that neighborhood. The Food Forest Initiative, I spoke with Corey about this just to see if she had any updates, and she wasn't able to be at the meeting tonight, but Director Ditchite has asked the organizers of the Food Forest Initiative, so New Leaf Foods and some of those other organizations, that before a food forest is approved for that area, that to have a comprehensive plan of the food forest and how it would be maintained over time. So that is not, it's not necessarily a slam dunk at this point, because they have some work to do on their end. But there was a lot of community involvement from the Seymour Park neighborhood as well, with the stormwater design and the layout of the park. It's been a very involved process.
Okay, I appreciate the feedback or answers. Thank you.
Anything?
I just had one last question. Does the DPW work with businesses at all? And in what way, if you do?
Right now, the involvement with businesses in relation to outreach programs, fairly minimal. I know Melissa might have some involvement with that too. Because we have 8 different public education and outreach goals, and 2 of those are low impact development and green infrastructure and residential infiltration. And those 2 Melissa really takes on pretty heavily, and it's the other 6 that I'm a little bit more involved with. So right now, going for like planned natural landscaping, that's more Melissa's thing. That would be more involved with the public. And some of the other things we really do are just making resources available on our website, trying to make timely posts on Facebook page. It's something that we're looking to bolster a little bit more, just because our website isn't really as much of an active mechanism. So that's a great question and not a great answer for you. So it's fairly minimal right now. Where it relates to stormwater management for construction, that more or less falls underneath the jurisdiction of our utility engineer. So they deal with post-construction stormwater management, which is creating, depending on if it's like a housing kind of development project or neighborhood development, they might require having stormwater facilities like ponds in order to take on some of that water that would otherwise be able to infiltrate into the ground. And when it comes to construction itself, so dealing with more like consultants or construction businesses, that would have more of one-on-one involvement with our erosion control specialists, and they make sure that when those projects are being completed, that they're doing so in a manner that doesn't result in a bunch of sediment making its way in the storm. So making sure they have erosion control practices, silt fences or socks, whatever is needed for those projects to really minimize impact. So those 2 would have a much bigger reach into like businesses in those operations. So I hope I answered your question. Okay.
I mean, I think part of this, was sustainability with some of the things that we've been working on recently. A lot of it's tying in with like green stormwater infrastructure and things like that. So as time goes on, we're gonna be talking about that, and that'll kind of go back and forth between DPW and sustainability. So I think over time, it'll be just become normal.
Yeah.
And then people will be reading it and looking at it.
In a perfect world, gotta work to get there though, right?
Yes.
Positive.
Yes, must be
Absolutely.
positive.
We absolutely need that for this kind of work, positive thinking, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Kelly.
Cory.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Yes.
All right, moving on. To informational, marketing and public outreach work group, is that?
That's Mark and Mark.
The Marks,
Mark Square.
yeah.
What about me?
And Julia.
Haven't seen your face in a week. Okay,
We want you, we need you. No,
yes.
not well. We had a meeting on Friday.
I know.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
missed the one. Whatever.
I missed one too.
I know,
so-
I was at that.
So there.
Go ahead. I don't know the date.
The thing to move.
So I wasn't on Friday. I was just saying there's another person at this table.
For you. Yes, so anyway,
Yeah.
yes. Mark's story, so.
Very informative so far.
Yeah, we're so good at this.
Somebody want.
Obviously, we have a formal presentation here,
Try this again.
puppets and, you know.
Marketing and work group update,
Okay,
or communications update.
Mark, you started on.
so yes, we did, Corey, Mark Stoyer, Alder Stoyer and I met on Friday to actually go through some of the work that Corey's done on logo development, some of the outreach, and I have to give kudos to Corey just for all the work. She's really enthusiastic about this, and just about trying to develop some outreach for this whole idea of outreach and marketing for the sustainability committee. So yeah, it's been great. And she's actually set up, and have you gotten onto it, the Teams page? Okay. She actually set up a Teams page for the Sustainability Commission that has our agendas and initiatives, a logo, some samples of the logos and meeting minutes and photos specifically for this outreach committee. I think actually is that for the whole Sustainability Commission.
It's for us.
It's for
It's for whatever.
for our committee.
specific Subcommittee. I
Yeah,
don't-
subcommittee.
Probably keep a quorum on there.
Pardon me?
Probably
Yeah,
have a
no.
quorum of members on there.
Mhm.
It's just the subcommittee.
Yeah, I think that would be correct. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're close. Right, 5 is our.
5 would be a quorum.
5 would be 5, okay. Sorry, so none of the rest of you can actually look at it. So you just have to take our word for it. The work that Victoria's been doing has been great. We did, and the committee has looked at, like I say, looked and discussed some of the logos. Our intent originally was to have the logos for presentation, but they didn't make it into the agenda packet today, but we will make sure that they're in the agenda packet for the next meeting, so that everybody can see what our work has been done, what work. Again, most of it's been Corey's work in terms of developing a logo, and then the rest of us have commented on it and provide some iteration to it. We also talked about other events to create greater outreach for the Sustainability Commission. And I wasn't at the Aldo event. I know.
Oh, the library.
At the library.
Yeah, we were there.
All the cool kids. All the cool kids
All the
were,
cool
so
kids were.
that's why I wasn't there. Not one of the cool kids. Sorry. But did talk about, ongoing events that may work to help us develop the brand of the Sustainability Commission, including an Aldo event, maybe an Earth Day event coming up in the future.
You wait, possible watershed lines cleanup
Yeah.
that Kelly mentioned would be a good one.
Right. It was tree planting at Perkins Park, in my district. They were talking about doing that as an Earth Day event as well. But she talked quite a little bit about getting a website going, and she's gone home about that, so we'll have to kind of.
So I believe Corey's taken on the responsibility of maintaining the Sustainability Commission Facebook page, because that is, comes from the city employee.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to that without getting into too much of the weeds, but the Facebook page that was currently being, maintained, it needs to be maintained by a city employee. And it doesn't follow the social media policy. So that site is being archived. I believe she's already done that. And then a new site would need to be created. A new Facebook page would need to be created. So that's all I know at this point.
Yeah, and our conversation with Corey was basically that she is very enthusiastic about that and is looking forward to actually taking on that responsibility. And developing Facebook page that would, I don't know exactly where it would reside within the city's structure of digital pages.
Well, it's not gonna be a web page, it's
gonna
gonna
be
be
a
a
Facebook
Facebook
page.
page, right, so. It would be an official government city, city Facebook page, which it just needs to follow all the policies, so. We're gonna be meeting on that with the directors next week.
One thing that we kind of intimated at, but I don't know what everybody would think, but we were talking about those months that I had, okay, those different theme months. Now we got Earth Day coming up, so I wonder if we should focus on something like that. And the reason I say that is that I could talk to the mayor's office, we could possibly get a resolution or what's the other word? There's a resolution, there's another proclamation. Something for that particular month. We could just do that and have that as an official city. And I've worked on those in the past. I could work on that. We could throw some things in, but I think that would be a good idea to start. And I thought April would be with Earth Day. I think that would be a real good start. I know it's next month. But that's just an idea.
Yeah, actually, I was wondering, do we remember, does anyone remember when we did the water resolution, like what month that was? I feel like it might have been per month.
Was that?
So, but if that's
Last
an
year.
anniversary coming up, like that's another thing too.
That's right, another thing we were talking about, we're 5-year, the commission's been around for 5 years, and we thought of.
Celebrating the successes by highlighting 5 years.
And it might, we had talked about an event of some sort, but maybe it'll just be. Just a document or something to that effect, I don't know, we haven't fully decided that.
Nothing like celebrating
You want
the
so-
document.
Yeah, well, no, you know what, I mean,
It's more like be a sheet cake with.
Nobody-
information on it.
nobody said cupcakes, so anyway.
I like the sheet cake idea.
Yeah, sheet cake would be good,
That would really be, yes, I can go with that.
so we're still working on that.
Edible, maybe edible document.
Yeah. There you go.
Carbon neutral candles.
Okay.
Paper markets are going great, recyclable paper markets
Over the
went up.
top, over the top here. Hi,
Ones
everybody,
that have seeds in them, you can plant.
are we good here?
Anything else? Just. No, I think that kind of hit the high points of what we were talking about. And again, looking at ways to celebrate the successes or highlight events that the Sustainability Commission can be part of going forward. Mark's list of initiatives that we had noted in January. It's a great start. It's a great way of highlighting the Sustainability Commission and providing some background to it. So looking at furthering that and seeing how we can get that message out to the public and then tie the Sustainability Commission to some of these things as well, to create a greater awareness and brand for them.
We had talked about school kids, all of Leopold, and that, for example, each of these months, you could have contests where the kids can color, make some stuff up. Maybe there'd be a choice of that particular logo for the following year, something like that, or, in advance. Something for the summer months, you could draw it ahead of time, and then we could use that on our page. So that's a thought too. So there's a couple things we've got to tweak yet, but we'll share that more in depth, I think, at our next meeting.
Great, thanks for the update.
I gotta roll
Um,
on another meeting.
all right. You're
6 hours, you have to pay 6 hours.
So,
We do have a member of the public who has her hand raised, and you want to make a motion to open the floor, and just a reminder that public comments should be limited to this particular, any particular agenda item that we have.
No,
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Ned, seconded by Mark Walter. All those in favor of opening the floor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, welcome, Sister Sally Ann. Just state your name and address for the record, and then go ahead.
Sister Sally Ann Brickner at 3110 Nicolay Drive. I don't know how my hand got raised.
Well, now we've done good practice on opening, and now we can close the floor. But yeah, thank you as always for joining our meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Move to close the floor?
All right, motion by Ned, second by Mark Walter, to close the floor. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Toodles.
Sure.
Morning, guys.
All right, floor is closed again. And on to the last informational item, citywide energy planning update. Melissa.
Okay, so just a few updates on our, citywide energy plan. The survey is still open and we extended it a couple more weeks, so the residential and business survey will stay open until March 18th. Currently, we've had 715 surveys submitted. NWTC students from the solar design and site class are going to perform solar site assessments at 2 to 4 city buildings this spring. I believe some of the fire stations are on the list. And then also the NWTC students from the energy management class will be conducting energy audits at 3 city buildings. And they're going to present their findings on May 15th to us in a city staff meeting. So that should be good. And these are all efforts that NWTC committed as part of their pledge to the comprehensive energy plan. And their instructors are also spending a lot of extra time too on this because they're giving the students the opportunity for real life world experiences with energy auditing and solar site assessments. So we appreciate all the help that we're getting from NWTC. UWGB has we have another student intern, and right now she is helping research some of the maintenance and cost comparisons for electric fleet vehicles versus our traditional gas and diesel vehicles. So that's all going to be part of our end product with our comp plan. So we're looking forward to that. And that's all I have for updates on the energy plan.
Any questions? Hearing none, we'll roll into adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn?
By Ned and Mark.
I'll
with
second
a
that.
Second. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. All right, we're adjourned. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Aye.
This piece of it.